You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Batuta Advocate, on Desert Rock FM. Well, welcome back to the Batuta Advocate radio show. You're joined by myself, Clancy Overall, and of course, editor-at-large, Errol Parker. How are you, Errol?
Good, my son.
Good, mate. Good. Good to hear. Now, if you are a loyal listener of the Batuta Advocate radio show, you would remember a podcast we did last year, which was one of the most popular interviews we had last year, and it was with today's guests. We're trying to repeat that success. It was every single NRL off-season scandal of the 2019 off-season. And it was so successful, it was actually one of the biggest, and that's not a lie, that we're trying to repeat the success today.
I think we're doing the Channel 9 method where, you know, we did have a high watermark with that particular podcast, and then we've been crawling through a river of shit ever since, so we decided to bring the star back.
Yeah, a bit like Big Brother.
And
getting
Carl.
revamped every 10 years or so.
Old right-wing Carlos.
Yeah, a bit like that. Now, it was so successful last year that we actually have a special sponsor for this podcast who also wanted to join the party. So today, for the Hello Sport annual NRL off-season scandal countdown on the Batuta Advocate radio show, we are sponsored by KO, which you might know of is a online sports streaming service.
Yes, in their own words, they are Fox Sports' cool little brother.
They probably won't admit to saying that, but yes, in their own words.
Yep.
They're sponsoring the show today. They've already hooked up our guests, Tom and Eddie from the Hello Sports podcast. They've already hooked them up with free KO. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Free KO. We are unofficially known as the kings of KO because of the groundswell. We basically, our audience bullied them into giving it to us for free. And,
okay.
You know,
in
we appreciated
24
that.
hours.
24 hours, and they crumbled.
They crumbled.
Okay, so they're aware of you.
Oh,
KO's
yeah.
aware of the Hello Sports podcast.
Yeah. They're big fans.
So okay, we'll just get a name check for the new listeners who missed last year's podcast.
I am Tom.
Eddie, Errol, Clancy, it's a pleasure to be here with you boys again. I'd like to do this every year moving forward.
Yes.
Well,
every year.
We're not going to run out of gear.
Well, that's the beauty of rugby league. So comparatively with last year, the off-season a little bit quiet, but it's not that
It's actually
quiet.
not that quiet. When we were going through the list just to sort of make sure we had our I's dotted, T's crossed, it was like, oh, there's actually quite a large number of scandals. You think that the NRL player, historically not big thinkers, but you thought they might have learnt a little bit from the chaos of the 18-19 off-season. But
18-19 off-season was really red hot.
that's
Greatest
like,
all time?
Yeah, that's greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that was
like-
definitely the La Nina of NRL off-seasons, wasn't it?
Well, it's the high watermark you
It
mentioned
was,
earlier.
yes.
Yeah.
It was,
Big time.
We were dealing with a lot of themes: drug use, obviously the
was
casual pub assaults, and
It was all over the map.
Public nudity.
First time
pornography.
digital really got into it, the pornography side of things.
Yeah.
A
Video
lot
footage.
of porno.
That was the
18-19.
WhatsApp off-season, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, but also just your good old-fashioned Mad Monday skullduggery with the Bulldogs who were sort of, throwing up outside of a pub while Daily Telegraph interns, climbed up poles to try and take photos of Adam Elliott's
How
dick.
dare they invade their privacy in that inner city pub that they decided to host their Mad Monday in on a weekday?
I think it was good for the game ultimately, so...
Marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Free press, free marketing, but...
yes, but luckily that KO is nothing like Fox Sports or the Daily Telegraph, because with KO, nowhere is safe from footy.
Yeah, get every match for both the AFL Premiership season and the NRL Premiership season on KO. And if you want to start your own podcast and get a big enough following, they might give it to you for free.
Certainly worth trying.
Certainly we're trying.
Look, have a crack.
Yeah.
But...
I also, look, if we're just giving KO shout-outs here, their mini-games are a thing of beauty where it's like you've bounced yourself out on a Saturday night, Sunday rolls around, you probably missed all the games that you were intending to watch.
You have, definitely.
You've definitely missed all of them, and then you can just catch up. In about an hour, you've caught up on all three games.
15
all
minutes.
the bits that you need.
Yeah.
So just for our listeners who might not know what bouncing yourself out, what does that mean?
Sorry, that is the equivalent, I guess, in cricketing terms of like when someone bowls a bouncer that hits you in the head. I guess it's just a large Saturday evening where...
So the Saturday or Friday evening is the bouncer.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you've copped it on the chin or the throat. the chest potentially, but
Yes.
somewhere where it's going to hurt, and then you're feeling it the next day, right?
that's
So
when you
you're
need-
bounced out.
That's
Yes.
when you need a mini match.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
KO Minis
Yes.
and KFC.
Yeah.
It's when
And-
Fast food.
M&M minis. Now, enough brand names. Let's start off this countdown. Where did we start? Oh, obviously, we're doing this chronologically. This isn't a countdown.
Yeah.
We're not going from most hectic to
Least hectic, no.
or vice versa.
So what are we starting in October?
Well, so the boys...
It was a little slow to kick off the off season.
There was no Mad Mondays.
There was no Mad Mondays. Everyone was pretty sort of chill.
But everyone was
That we
on
knew
their
about.
best behaviour, given the the
The
scallywag behaviour of the year before. So I think they sort of kept it under wraps.
And a lot of boys went, I think, overseas. It was
That's
like,
right.
let's stay out of Australia. Let's not fuck around here. And so they went
the scandal off-season started.
late October, early November.
something like
It
that.
erupted.
Yeah.
300 haymakers out front of a Balinese nightclub.
Young Nelson Asofa Solomona, 6'5",
And the rest.
hulking individual. Look, if you believe the story, poor old Nelson has... Because obviously, look, he was in Bali with some footy player mates. Obviously, all Australians love Bali. And
The original Devil's Playground.
and so they're over there, and it's like these guys can't even escape in Bali. Like they're getting dudes being lippy and talking shit. And I think one of them tried to glass Nelson's teammate. Again, you've got to have had a shitload in you to have the sort of misguided confidence to want to glass an NRL player. Anyone, but like
That's
someone-
Bali, though, mate.
It's Bali
That's the
confidence,
sort of
right?
confidence you can get from Bali. It's a magical place.
So they've tried to glass one of Nelson's mates. The video starts as Nelson is out the front of the
La
nightclub. Eddie?
Favela in
La Favela.
Seminyak, for those that are aware.
Very nice, very classy establishment.
Yeah.
And Nelson is feeding this guy, like feeding
But
him.
that's like... And that's not even doing it justice, right?
No.
Like, he is such a big man, is Nelson.
Yeah, yeah.
And he is throwing with, like, full intent on causing as much damage as possible.
A photo was released of the guy's face who got punched, and it was like, it looked like he'd been hit with a prison shiv, but it was just that it was the force and size of Nelson's hand had just like split his skin open.
But I still don't believe he would have got a good proper shot off, because the way that he's thrown in that video, it would take your head off. Like, it would come off. You know
you're
that old
saying,
saying?
like, you don't
He must
think
have,
Nelson
I think
even
that's a
connected?
graze. I reckon that's a graze, because it's wild stuff.
Took a bit of bark off.
Yeah. Oh, mate. And the
So
rest.
what was the
that
punishment?
bloke's face is basically split open.
Everyone in Australia was like, from Braithen Astor to fucking whoever else
Yeah.
was like,
There's two sides to every story.
mates helping mates, you know, like this is
Mateship.
what you know.
It was mateship.
Yeah.
This is you.
In
cut and
some
dry
context,
mateship.
you just have to chin someone.
Yeah, you know what? Like at some point, when can't you punch a guy?
Yeah. Well, defending your mate
well, never,
from glassing
obviously.
and from lit.
In
That's
a country that you don't have to ever visit again, and there's no real repercussions if you get on a flight quick enough.
So look, despite Braith's valiant attempts to get Nelson, Big Nell, off the sort of chopping block, he was suspended for I think 3 international rugby league matches.
Which was a big payday.
Well, I think it's like 15 to 20 grand a game.
Yeah, right.
So like he would have been better off just being suspended for like 12 NRL matches.
yeah, right.
So he basically lost himself a new Volkswagen Tiguan.
Something like that. Something
okay.
upmarket.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, let's go with
so
Tigger.
there's a theme here. I think now after the Mad Monday, like after 3 decades of constantly getting in shit on Mad Mondays,
Yes.
they've realised that they can lock it down in Bali to a degree. I mean, that still isn't that much trouble. If he'd done that in the streets of Sydney or Brisbane or Melbourne and behaved that way, maybe he's going to jail for a little while. Who knows?
Then
See, I feel like Australian police might recognise mateship as sort of like, you know, some sort of natural law here in Australia rather than overseas.
I just
Maybe
feel
in
like
Queensland.
the game
Yeah. Maybe
feels
in
removed
Queensland, but-
from an incident in Bali. Whereas, like, if you were throwing that many punches and it was on video out the front of the Treasury Casino in Brisbane, the game's got to do something about it.
And you've taken
Yes.
off half a man's face. Like, I wonder if you had to pay for facial reconstruction. Like,
Surely not.
jeez.
It's cheaper in Bali though.
That's
Maybe you
what
get a
I mean.
package deal.
Maybe get a package deal, package it up.
a tooth and skin package. 2 for 1.
Yeah, but yeah, to your point, it's a little bit out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
The Storm sent a couple of officials over. I think the NRL did as well, and they would have been sweeping. Just employing the old AFL tactic
Well,
of...
I'm pretty sure Big Nell got out of the country before Big Nell basically realised what he'd done and was on the next flight home the next morning. He'd seen too many sort of, contrite Australians with suddenly who have converted to Islam in Bali, sort of trying to...
He didn't want to end up in the Hilton, so he
in
had to...
Korobican.
Exactly. So he bounced. But then it was like...
But that wasn't the end of NRL.
No, that wasn't the end
Bali.
of NRL.
And one of
Bali.
them, exactly. And one
never
player
is.
didn't get out.
No.
So let's move on to number 2.
Number 2, this was rising NRL star who was in the middle of contract negotiations, which is even better. David Fafita. He'd had a great year. Obviously just wanted to get over to Bali with a couple of the boys, celebrate big time. He's only 19 as well, so
And they're throwing around $1 million a season offers. So he's like, yeah, Bali, let the hair down, unwind.
the world is my oyster here. Someone's going to give me $1 million to do this.
I'm going to go get a Bali skinful.
Yes.
So it's like... Yeah, you're right. It's like mid-negotiation. So, everything's on the line here. Let's get this across the line. While we're doing that, I might just go to Southeast Asia and let off some steam.
Yeah.
That was his thinking.
Well,
Well, they were probably like, look, this is a bit of a stressful environment. Like, get away from it. Oh, that's just the manager
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
I'll handle this, mate.
Yeah,
You
like-
go to Bali and
go with
just
your
relax.
mates.
Yeah.
Even if
Go to La
Bali's
Favela,
too
here
much,
it's
you can
good.
hop on the ferry, go over to Lombok,
Yeah.
have some methanol, come back.
yes, I get a massage, mate. Get some braids, whatever you need to do. But he, again,
He didn't do that.
No, he didn't. Outside of, what's the place called again?
La Favela.
La Favela.
Seminyak.
Seminyak. The hot spot for leagueies, it would seem.
For a leggy throwdown.
For a leaguey throwdown. David here, this is a weird one. And me and Eddie have spoken about this before in terms of we're not sure whether there are people writing that work for the NRL that write in the off season, but this one was bizarre. And it was him. He'd paid some dude to give him a scooter ride home. This is all alleged as well, ladies and gentlemen, punters, dribblers. Don't take any of this as gospel. This is just what we read in the
Men's Women's Weekly.
Men's Women's Weekly Daily Telegraph. Shout out to Paul Kent.
The one match sensation from Parramatta.
He was being driven home on a scooter by some local there, and he's sort of as he's gone past, he's cracked the security guard in the head. So he's got speed up from the scooter.
From the scooter.
It was a drive-by coward
It was
punch.
a drive-by coward punch, and then he jumped off the scooter and launched at him.
Yeah, a lot of misinformation. It was really weird. But he was on a scooter and he's jumped off, or he's punched him when he's driven past. But then wasn't he pulled back on? I think the scooter driver
Got him back on.
got him back
out of
on and
there.
got him out of there, like a bit of Good Samaritan stuff. I don't know, or helping a
God.
brother in need.
This
And
bloody nightclub's, the modern day version of Long Tan for our...
This night, I think
Remember,
right
It's
now,
just unabridged combat.
This nightclub is to blame.
Look, it's the only rugby league and the nightclub are the two common denominators.
Yeah.
But look, what happened then for Dave? Unfortunately,
This is where it gets weird.
This is where it got
weirder.
Dave got arrested. Dave got chucked into prison. Then, about 24 hours later, every single Australian media has flown over there since they found out, and they're all waiting outside the prison and shit. And Dave's, in the same clothes he was in fucking the last 24 hours.
But also, the media would already have been over there.
Well, that's true.
Where are they all
Waiting
going
for
this
hours.
off season? Bali. Just keep a
Yeah.
couple on the ground after
Yeah.
Nelson.
Correspondence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple of Corby correspondents still hanging around.
Yeah. And one of David's mates starts walking into the prison with a plastic bag full of beers. And they're like, they know it's David's mate. And they're like, what are you doing? Are you going? He's like, I'm just going in to see your mate. And he's sort of walking in, trying to get in with the beers. And then obviously has gone through some doors that the media couldn't follow him through. And then 10, 15 seconds later, he's walking back out. And it's obviously you weren't going to be able to get in there with these beers for your friend, mate.
But he's obviously read something, out of those.
Yeah.
Out of those Balinese books like Hotel K and stuff, where they speak about basically anything goes,
Yeah, he
right?
thought
You
he
can
was-
bring
Yeah.
in beers, you
He
can
thought it was
solicit sex, you can do all these
Cash
crazy
rules.
things.
Bolivian marching
Yeah,
band.
that's what he thought it was. He's like, I'll go in and have a couple of beers and a bit of a yarn.
That was
So,
a run sweep. That was a pay.
From
and
there, yeah.
Dude, he paid 30 grand.
30 grand,
allegedly.
yeah.
and they let him go.
Yes, and he's got a great photo with the security guard, and it's him shaking. He looks like Sean Penn and El Chapo, and so it's him going we're all good now, right? And it's him and the security guard shaking hands. when you see the size of this security guard, he is like 4 foot tall, standing next to David Fafita, who's like 6 something, 110 kilos. You're like, how did that guy not get killed? He's obviously just managed, like, risen from the dead after 30 grand's thrown in his lap. But you're like, Jesus Christ.
Could have been another grazing.
Yeah, that's true.
Seriously. But yeah, 30 grand. Goodness gracious.
Number 3, where are we at?
I think Manasi was next.
Yes. Do you want to take him through Manasi, Edward?
So Manasi Farnow, or Farnu.
Finu.
Look, pronunciation is up to the listener.
Do your own research.
That's right.
Dior.
So Manasi is of Manly hooker fame.
Yes.
Had a great season last season. Absolutely superb.
Real
To the
star on the rise.
Real
Eddie.
star on the rise stuff, to the point where they've said to... Who did they get rid of? Seguiaro.
Appy Coruscant.
Appy Coruscant. They said, Appy, listen, mate, we're not going to need your services next year. We've got young Manasi. He's a gun. Thanks for coming, right? So Manly had pinned their hopes on young Manasi to take them forward to glory in 2020. Anyway.
Good Christian boy.
Good Christian boy, right? What do good Christian boys do? They go to Mormon dance parties.
Yeah.
all right?
Under 20s as well. Under 20 Mormon dance parties.
But you go and you mingle and you meet other Mormons.
Like-minded Mormons.
That's right. And you can talk about the Lord and you can maybe meet your future wife. So that's what Manasi's done.
Bit of soaking.
Yeah, under the guidance of his family.
Guided soaking.
Yeah, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a good soak.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with a good soak.
Absolutely no pumping.
No.
No pump.
Thrust-free, harmless soaking.
Yeah.
That's right.
Get
Now-
all pruny.
Just. I mean, it's
We went there.
it's just like walking into a jewelry shop. As a man, you go in and you can't wait to come out.
Anyway, Manasi, the details again, they're a little skint, but he goes to the dance party and is arrested a couple of hours later, having allegedly, and again alleged, stabbed someone in the back and punctured his lung. Now he's been arrested. He was in prison for like a couple of weeks. I think.
Yeah, he was a couple of weeks there.
He's been released on bail since.
What did the judge say? It was like the closest you can get to murder without.
Yeah.
Now, listen.
Right.
The judge wasn't necessarily saying, Manasi, you are, but he's saying that the knife was as close to killing this person.
Right.
As
Well,
it could have been.
As it could have
So
been.
it's punctured his lung. Manasi's defence is it's a case of mistaken identity.
Right.
Which I guess
Dude, it could have been dark. We don't know what the lighting
We
was
don't
like. at
know
that
what the
dance.
lighting was like.
Everyone's wearing the same outfits because it's Mormon.
Yeah.
coppers are pretty convinced it's Manasi, so he's out on Manasi's out on bail at the moment, but he's been stood down by the NRL for their no-fault policy.
But
Yes.
Eddie, back
So-
to training though.
So that
which is
rule
good.
is
He's
in
allowed
the-
to
in the
train.
no-fault-
isn't he?
yeah, that's the no-fault policy. You're allowed to train, you can't play.
so the no fault policy is for the dribblers at home is anything up to 12 years in prison,
Yeah.
guilty or not, if you're charged with something.
I think it's over 11.
Okay.
Anything
Over
over
11 years.
If you're charged with anything over 11 years, guilty or not, you can't play, but you can train.
Yeah, so
and you're still paid.
whatever the crime you've been charged with,
Accused of.
whatever the max sentence is, I think,
Yeah.
of that
Okay.
charge is the metric.
Okay.
So like DeBellin charged with a couple
Yeah.
of counts of rape. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
more than 11 years.
Yeah.
Manasi, I think, would he be attempted murder? Or
Look, I'm not
grievous
sure.
bodily harm?
Look, it
do
was-
your own research,
Yes.
the listeners.
I'm not 100% sure on the legal specifics of it. Do know that can't stab people.
But again, mistaken identity.
Yeah, well, look, we don't know if
according to
Manasi did it. I think the most
That's
important
a-
thing is that he just trains hard.
Yeah.
Let the courts decide this thing. And if
That's a
it's...
bold defence. That is.
Yeah,
Wasn't me.
It was the Shaggy defense, dude. I think it's a fucking great one.
It works.
Shaggy defense. Work for Shaggy.
Yeah, exactly. So well, I don't know if it did work for Shaggy, but I mean, we'll see. The time will tell. But as a Manly fan, I'd love to believe that Manasi didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, Cherry Evans the other day in an interview seemed pretty pro Manasi.
Can I just say the way you post on social media is probably not a great way to judge a man's innocence or guilt. But if I was just looking at Manasi, still pretty carefree, still throwing shit up on the gram, I tend to believe that mistaken identity is the case here.
Yeah. They all, even the no fault, a lot of the no faulters are pretty carefree on Instagram, I've noticed, though. Literally pretending they're not facing up to or over 11 years in prison.
It could be the
And
best
there's
defense is a good offense.
play a
It's just
straight
like-
bat.
Yeah.
That's
There's a lot of no
self-
faulters.
He's still young enough though to come out and have a Mark Riddell type twilight to his career.
Oh, look, I mean, what's
19.
what's a stabbing get you in prison at 19?
I
Let's say
reckon
he gets him 10 years.
Let's say he does 8. He's
A
out at
maximum of
27.
10.
Yeah.
Maximum of 10. He's out at 27, 28.
Good
Yeah.
behaviour, give him 6.
As if he's not coming out fitter than he went into prison.
Yeah.
And
Mate,
he
and
will
he's
be
a cheap
in
buy.
prison Nick.
Yeah,
Prison Nick too.
That Mike Tyson post prison Nick where it's like, ooh.
Maybe not so much cardio, but
Looks
he
like-
will be cut as.
Russell Packett.
Yeah, they sign him in jail because they're so
Danny Wicks, Nick, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Danny Wicks came out like as a winger after going in a front row. You're like, holy shit.
Was that post pill press?
Post pill press.
That was
Post pill
Danny
press
slanging dingers. But look, worst case scenario for Manasi, comes out at 28, 29, straight into a Titans or a Tigers or a
Yeah.
Bulldogs setup, maybe even just the UK.
Yeah,
And-
but just shows he's still got it.
Yeah.
Hopefully the person who he allegedly stabbed is also okay and is
we
able
absolutely.
to go
we hope
on
they're
to,
doing well. We hope they're
to,
doing well.
to continue
Well,
their
look, I
chosen
mean, I
career.
think Manly might have even sent him season tickets, which is classy from them.
I think
Yes.
that's all class. And in the stands as well, not the hill.
Yeah,
Like-
and also get him to come in. Look, it might be a little confronting to see your attacker, but they're allowed to come into the sheds after the game.
alleged attacker.
He's running
Alleged
water.
attacker.
He's no fault, so he's running water. He'll be
That's
around. Now, you did say it was a
Turn
quiet
the
off
other
season.
cheek, mate.
You did say it was a quiet off season.
Well,
But we have brought in the no fault law in the NRL within 12 months, and there's already 5-6 people who have been no faulted.
Yeah, there's a
so
couple.
that's not that quiet. But we won't talk about the more red hot ones. But what's number 4?
This one is more recent, only because it's just come to mind. But the Josh Reynolds one is, he got charged with domestic violence, and a video came out where
Of him looking a bit domestic-y.
it's it.
Yeah.
He got charged with domestic violence. Then the video came out, and it was like, ooh, this video coupled with the charge, although it's a 30-second video out of context where he doesn't do anything. It's
Right.
like he's just sort of aggressive. You're like, fuck, that doesn't look good. But then, and again, feel very sorry for Josh. He's done a live show with us once before, and he's an absolute legend. Feel very sorry for him going through what he's gone through here, but in terms of a rugby league off-season story, and like, holy shit, rugby league just produces. That is,
but
one of
that's
the more
it.
bizarre.
It produces year in and year out, and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
story is.
this
is
story
an epic.
could be
This is an
an
epic.
8-part
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
It should be a podcast.
It will
You know
be
what?
one.
I've heard podcasts like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
That do very well.
Those who the hell is Hamishes and things of that nature.
Eddie, do you want to break it down for those playing at home?
So he was with his past ex-girlfriend,
Arabella, look, she's got like 50 names, but I believe we'll go with Arabella Del Busso for this one.
Yeah.
Del Busso. So she slid into his DMs, and obviously she's very charismatic, as a lot
A
of
modern
these.
romance.
I think modern romance is fair.
Yeah.
Very charismatic, good looking enough. Can I say that? Good looking.
Yeah.
Josh liked what he saw,
Yeah.
obviously, liked the way the chat was going, and so the romance.
Single as well. He's doing everything.
Yeah.
He's not betraying anyone.
No,
also-
He seems like a stand-up guy.
But also, you know, he's in his early 30s. He's probably looking to settle down.
Yeah,
So
he needs that Dally M regular.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then, luckily for them, or at least he thought, she falls pregnant to twins.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately they didn't allegedly lose. They lost
Yeah.
on her word. And then did it happen again?
it happened
Tom?
2 more times. She lied about being pregnant and then losing it like 2 more times.
Wait, sorry. 2 more sets of twins?
What she did was she lied on 3 separate occasions about being pregnant and losing the child or the children. The first one was twins.
Yes.
And then the 2 follow-up, I don't know. But having just had a
But
child...
medical
that is-
records say...
No, dude, she photoshopped fucking photos of her tummy making it look like she was pregnant. She faked medical records. She was taking... I think she even managed to... And again, all alleged, Bella Del Busso, you know, do your own research. But that she was taking some sort of hormone that would mean that when she goes to a doctor's PP test or pisses on the stick, it would give the false reading of pregnancy. Like,
Good
she's
God.
a nutbag
Yeah.
shit, where it's like, you got to do some serious
Yeah.
digging to work out what hormone you should be ingesting.
Real
before
dirty
you-
John shit.
And meanwhile,
Real dirty
dirty John shit. And meanwhile, poor Josh is injured, having
And
gone
just-
to the Tigers on big money.
Yeah.
He's losing children. He thinks
Grieving
he's-
over and over.
Yeah,
man.
over and over and
Yeah,
over
horrible
again.
thing to go
Getting
through.
lied to through the teeth.
Yeah.
But he didn't realise this at the time. His form's gone to shit because he's not playing. Like, he's on the outer at the club. Like,
she's
this would have been
also come to him.
crazy.
She's also come to him and gone, "My mum's died." Mind you, she's pretending to be Italian.
Yeah.
Now,
We've seen Mum.
we've seen because Bella's mum, Arabella's mum, since come out to sort
Not
of
dead.
like,
Right.
no, not dead, not Italian.
She could be Northern Italian.
Well, look, maybe she's got heritage. You know what? She could.
Her
have-
last name from memory.
She's not first generation.
She's definitely not first gen,
And she's
but-
not second.
Look
either.
up her last name because it is so not Italian. It's
No.
like
What's her
Polish.
last name?
No,
Peresca or something like that.
Pruesca.
Yeah, Pruesca.
Belladonna Pruesca or something.
So Belladonna de Buso, also Belladonna de Barcelona, I've heard.
Yeah, and Bella Melbourne.
To
fucking
Madrid.
Yeah. All these names she's made up. Her real last name is
Pruesca.
Pruesca.
And Mum would look very out of place in a Dalmio commercial.
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
just put it
right,
that
right,
way.
right.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
No, she's fake being Italian. I think that's also.
She's
a
not
legend.
She doesn't look like a nonna.
No, doesn't.
Okay, so where are we at now? He's been
So,
cleared of domestic violence.
He's been cleared of domestic violence. She has since been obviously hounded by the upstanding media bastion that is A Current Affair, and
Tom's
they
go-to.
Oh, love it. And they have since found all this shit's going on. This is the ballsiness of a person like Donabella Bruesca, Melbourne, whatever the fucking name is. This is all going on, and her thing isn't like, how do I stop myself? Because it's now like the legals are getting involved. 7 or other boyfriends who she's done this to have since come out.
7 ex-boyfriends.
Yeah, who have all heard this and
And
seen
they've all
what's
had
going
a
on.
fake name each.
Yeah. So she, rather than trying to like, you know, head for the hills or whatever, she has gone straight for this like Belarusian boxer.
This Hungarian who was in
boxer.
Melbourne on, I think he was fighting last weekend. He'd been in Australia for a week.
And she already
And
locked
she
him in.
has got her talons into him.
Yeah.
She's in the ring after he won.
Somehow got herself flown down to Melbourne to this bloody, what was it, like?
It was like the
Pacific
Oceanic-
Orient belt.
It
like
was one of the more
rogue.
mediocre belts going around there.
How does she do
And
it?
she's in the ring. man.
Charisma. She's a confidence trickster.
Yeah, Oriental,
Con artist.
Oceanic, middleweight title fight, and she's already in there with him. We did, obviously, the most altruistic thing we could think of doing and slid into that guy's DMs to let him know.
Oh, you've snitched on it.
Yeah, we reached out. We were like,
snitched.
run, brah, run.
We said, yeah, on your bike, mate.
Get out.
Get out of the country and do not take her with you.
He's yet to respond, but I'm sure he appreciated it anyway.
So what's the latest on Bella? Where is she?
That's it.
That's
was a week ago.
she was on A Current Affair. She's just moseying around.
She's on the front foot, though. She's
So
not-
she's just kicking around down
Yeah,
south
but I think
somewhere.
she still like claims that it's all. She's like.
She claims that she had the children.
I think she's also been calling up people and being like, she's still, bro. It's like that Belle Gibson who faked brain
Yes,
cancer, right? It's
yes,
like,
it's-
these people don't
Stop.
ever own up. They
Yeah.
just sort of continue to try and chase their tail in like this crazy, anxious sort of non-stop web of lights. It's almost like Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems. He's
Yeah.
just constantly covering his ass with something
Yeah,
else
yeah,
and
yeah.
going to something else.
It's
and
a
just
problem.
like-
She's a
Spoiler alert
textbook.
for everyone.
Textbook con
I was about
artist.
to give away the ending.
yeah, yeah.
She's a textbook con artist.
Yeah.
And it is. I mean, everyone kind of thought there was something a bit fishy from the start, because I guess when you hear all those things about Josh, then you see that video where he's being aggressive and he's yelling, and she's obviously filming it, and he's going,
Yeah.
"You treat me, you make me feel like a fucking idiot."
Yeah.
And you kind of look at a man who's not necessarily aggressive. He's just fucking broken. And
Well, with the full context of it now, you're like, oh,
Well, that's what we said at the time when the video came out. Because
Yeah.
Josh is actually, at least in our experience, a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
And
couldn't have been nicer.
so the video, we were like, it's out of context,
Yeah.
right? What's the context at large, the
Yeah.
video? And then sure as shit, it comes out that she's been fucking lying about having...
Losing kids.
Losing
You're
kids.
like-
yeah, we
mate.
don't even know, and
And she would have been rincing him for like
Fleecing
medical
him for cash,
bills.
yeah.
and,
Yeah,
like,
we don't
all
even
kinds
know
of
about
shit.
the medical.
There would have
the
been money
financial-
involved. I
the
guarantee
financial
it.
cost, and
Anyway,
and-
I believe Josh is doing
he's
okay.
back. He's cleared to play.
Yeah,
He's cleared to play. Big
and he's
year from
also like,
Josh.
got a bit
Play.
of got a bit of a steely. He's like, he even said the other day, he was like, you know, you guys tried to like You said you were going to bury me and my mum, but you haven't, and I'm coming after you. It was like, yes,
Yes, he's back. Good.
get in.
Bit of fire in the boy.
Bit of
Love
that
that.
2014 Origin.
It's good for the Australian Men's Women's Weekly, the Daily Telegraph, and all of those other fucking half-baked NRL journalists to keep these stories in mind, because the same thing happened to Brett Stewart as well. We do know the NRL star is capable of anything.
Oh, God, yeah.
There is no end to what they're capable of, but
Yeah.
also the situations they find themselves in and the people they allow around them are also just as capable of anything.
It's murky.
Yeah,
It's a murky world, and that's why we love it.
Yes. That's why it's a very scandal.
I think that Josh's first game back is against the Dirty Merger team, the Dragons, so he should have an
Well,
easy one back and score a couple points.
It's a dirty
against
merger
those,
showdown there between the Tigers, the West's Tigers.
I think that
and the
one's
St. George
dirtier than
Illawarra
the other.
Dragons. Well,
Well, one is, at least one's the same city.
yeah. Look,
And one
I mean,
has
yeah,
a nice leagues club. The other has
Well, I mean,
a shooting gallery
Campbelltown
for
is
local heroin addicts.
it is Sydney, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like I drove through Campbelltown the other day because I went the wrong way. It is massive.
It's huge.
Campbelltown.
Big.
It is.
Getting an airport out there, mate.
Enormous.
They're getting an airport
It's the
out
engine room of the country.
There you
That's
go.
what
But
it is.
you know, I feel sorry for West because Balmain are so fucked and so poor and so shit and so just
All those.
They don't
disorganised.
even have any
Oh,
real
and that-
estate anymore.
I'd be turning
No.
around if I was West League Club. I'd be turning around going, let's sub that
Yeah.
fucking Tiger out and put the Magpie back on
Yeah.
because you can't get your house in order.
Yeah.
And you know, I wouldn't mind a magpie emblem getting around the
West
NRL
Magpie.
again.
And they'll call
Iconic.
it West Magpie.
Yeah.
Or they could just forcibly remove all those ABC employees from Balmain and make
true.
them, God forbid, spend a day in Campbelltown and move the people from Campbelltown up into their harbourside terrace houses. And
That they were priced out of. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the ABC killed rugby league in the Balmain Peninsula. So,
Yeah,
we can-
it's no longer a rugby. You don't see much.
There
rugby
used to
league
be
going
a
on.
coal mine in Balmain, and then the ABC fucked that too.
Now it's all semi-precious stones. Now, next
there-
scandal on next cab off the
Do you
rank.
want to go Curtis?
Yeah, I think Curtis Scott's
You want
probably...
to miss Sevo?
Yeah, nah, Sevo's. I,
I
think
guess
bit
we are,
lowbrow.
we are technically chronological because
But Sivo was another overseas scandal.
Okay, we'll go
But it
Sivo.
was on his home turf. It was over
That's
in
true.
the island
Alright.
nation of Fiji.
Yes.
oh, okay, this was the aeroplane drama.
No,
No.
well, I don't know if this was on an aeroplane or if
No,
this
it was
just...
at a hotel, in a hotel
Yeah,
pool.
so Micah Sevo... Look, I don't understand Fijian law, and maybe you, Clancy and Errol, could help me and Eddie here, but...
Yes, I'm fluent in it. Continue.
Micah Sevo was charged with indecent annoyance.
Yes.
he was.
I'm just not sure how to exactly...
Charged
how
with
to-
being-
Well, it was
Yes.
downgraded from indecent assault to indecent annoyance.
Okay.
So he was celebrating Christmas at a pool party at a resort.
Christmas massive in Fiji.
That's right.
Yeah, back home.
And
He's back home.
It's been alleged, because it's still before the courts, I believe. He's on bail, technically. He kept trying to lift up the staff member's skirt to
Okay.
get her attention.
Now, is he
obviously-
getting her... Did he need something?
No, I believe he was following around.
Okay.
It was like
he was
sort of
being-
like a courtship.
He was being a predator.
He was
Yeah.
being a piece of shit.
And
yes.
there was an eyewitness who claims that although he was being indecently annoying, he was relatively well behaved. He was seen wishing people Merry Christmas before he was
Okay.
lifting up her skirt.
So not all bad for
Not all
Mike.
bad
and
for Mike.
who knows about Fiji and how they view that kind of behaviour, but
Well, as
it got
an
downgraded to
expert,
being annoying.
Yes.
well, as an expert in their legal system, I do know that it is especially in Fijian culture, it is heavily frowned upon to be a pest.
Yeah.
And they do have special laws to prevent pests from
Okay.
happening. But
We could use some of them here in Batuta.
But what he has done to this waitress allegedly is also heavily frowned upon in Fijian culture.
yeah, I think a lot of cultures would look down upon that. So he's on bail but can't leave Fiji.
No, he was allowed to.
He's back?
He's allowed to come back.
Yeah.
And they can't really apply a no-fault rule to something that's happened in another country, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
but also, like, I don't know that they're... Oh, no, you could certainly apply the no-fault rule for something that happened in another country. It's not a 10-year prison sentence.
So he's playing.
I don't know if you.
Oh,
do,
he's ripping ready to go, I would have
you can
thought.
do more than 11 years for being indecently annoying.
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't have thought.
No.
Even though it was distasteful on Micah's part.
Heavily distasteful.
Yeah, yeah.
Distasteful.
Look, Micah will learn.
Well, look, let's
Learn
hope.
from mistakes and
Let's
we'll
hope.
Learn they might have to go back to Fiji for a little while.
Yes.
And
Now-
above all, he needs to apologise.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, he was being pleasant to everyone else, wwishing them Merry Christmas. I'm sure he apologised on his way out
That's
to
true.
jail. Now, what's Curtis Scott?
Curtis Scott, up and coming throbber on the rise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big buyer of hair gel.
Yes, Sydney boy, down to Melbourne. If you're signed by Melbourne, you've usually got a bit of go about you. Craig Bellamy's seen something he likes. He's won a premiership with them already.
They're bringing him into the mothership.
So he was down there. He just got signed to the Raiders in the off-season.
One of their big off-season
Their
signings.
biggest off-season signing.
Okay.
And so he
Wasn't necessarily flicked, just moved.
No, I think he was offered a
Just,
decent
yeah.
wicket to go to Canberra. You've got to be paid more than you're worth to go
Yeah.
to Canberra because it's a
And
shithole.
Yeah.
I think that
Melbourne-
was a young bull, a young kind of Mickey bull that Craig was willing to let go for the right price.
Yeah. And he played, and he's a centre, and I think he got
Aggressive.
He got big centre money,
Yes.
so it was a bit of a no-brainer.
They let go of Leilua at Canberra. Anyway, Curtis, he's gone up to Canberra, and then I think for Australia Day, he's gone, I'll bring a couple of Pommy boys down to Sydney. It's like back to my hometown. Let's go back for Australia Day. Rugby League and Australia Day do go very well together.
No, he went up to
historically.
Sydney.
Well, from Canberra, he's come down to Sydney.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, depending on which way
He
you
went.
are.
He went east.
He went east. All right.
He went northeast.
He went northeast.
technically. So
Continue.
back in Sydney.
So he's taking it because they're the peaky Raiders. There's a lot of Poms on that team.
They're drunk on pommy milk over
Yeah.
there. Ricky's just gone like, Ricky's kind of gone, I think, I can't convince people that live here and know what Canberra's like to come to Canberra on the whole, but England's cold as shit. So like they're going to
Particularly Northern England. Like,
Yeah.
they'll jump at the chance.
Yeah, yeah. So he's getting good talent. Another strategy a lot of people don't think about is it also means you've got a full informed team all year because these boys aren't playing Origin. So
That's
your
right.
best players are playing all year round. You don't lose them to injuries when they get their knee folded inside
Yeah.
out by Napa.
No, that's right.
They're there all year round.
All year round. It's a nice added bonus.
Yeah, Dylan proof.
Yeah, Dylan Proof. Big puppy proof.
Not much is Dylan proof either. So,
But so Curtis signed big money, thought he'd let his hair down, goes back to
well,
Sydney.
it's Australia Day as well. He wants to
Yeah.
celebrate rugby league and celebrate his nation.
Yeah.
And celebrate his new contract and
Yes.
celebrate, progression in his career.
Yeah.
And when that happens, sometimes you get a bit of a deadly cocktail
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Excitement,
of excitement
booze,
meets
like-
money, meets
Yeah.
booze, meets fame, meets
Ivy.
Australia Day.
Pool. Ivy
but also
Pool.
meets like, come back to my hometown. I'm
Yeah,
back
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
show
yeah.
you
He's
around.
showing off to the Poms.
We can only
the
assume.
prodigal son returns. Of
Yeah.
course,
Look,
he's
we've-
showing off.
we've-
He's gone the big lift back in the hometown.
Yeah, we filled in the blanks here, but essentially, yes, he was having a big day. But
Right.
anyway, Curtis woke up at the SCG.
So he's at the Ivy Pool all day long in the sun.
I
Yeah.
think he was at the Ivy Pool, rugby league skinful, which is a rugby league quantity of alcohol ingested far more than the average man.
His
Or woman.
jeans are rolled up to his knees.
Yes,
he's,
exactly.
He is knee deep
Knee deep.
in Sydney.
And so he's had a huge day, has then found his way to the SCG outside of it somewhere.
It does
So the
have,
parkland's over the road,
yes.
it does have a magnetism about it, doesn't it?
It does. It's a
right?
beautiful
it
ground.
does. It does.
Anyway, he's been found sleeping in a bush by the police, and as they
Quick kick.
just a quick tip. Look, and we'll get into what we think really has gone on here if we sort of break it down. But he's been found asleep. The coppers have woken him up. A stink has started, and then he's been tasered
Right.
And arrested.
and arrested.
For assaulting
resist-
officers.
Well, for resisting arrest and for assaulting police.
Yes, punching police officers,
Yeah.
which is never historically a good thing, but it is, again, uniquely rugby league. But we were sort of trying to work out, well, is this a case of sort of, crossed wires here?
So, like, he's had a rugby league skinful, which Tom's just
dr-
described.
He's drunk enough to sleep in a
yeah,
park.
he's asleep in a park,
Yeah,
for God's sake.
yeah.
And then he's been woken up. Now,
And two
he's on
cops have
high
come along.
alert, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Most
yeah.
people would be. Who the hell is that? What's
Well,
going
because you kind of go, you're already on edge anyway if you're sleeping outside, and it's sort of like, you never know who's coming up to you. You
Well,
can't
also-
sleep with one eye
but
open.
he'd wake up confused. He
Yes.
probably doesn't remember
Yes.
falling asleep in the
Yeah,
park.
I think it's fair to say you'd wake up.
We were
confused.
kind of trying to work out whether this is just an athlete trying to get their 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So, yeah, I've had a big night, but I've taken myself away from any sort of drama. I'm out of the ivy. I'm going to have a sleep in this bush, get a good 8 hours, and then get up and it's like nothing ever happened. Back to Canberra tomorrow.
He was probably under strict instructions from Ricky. He's probably said to the boys before they went on their merry way,
Hydrate.
look,
Sleep.
go and have a crack, enjoy yourselves in Australia Day, but get your 8 hours.
Yeah.
Because we've got a big week of training.
And like us might not know that, you know, for an athlete of his ilk to sleep in the shadow of the SCG might be like, you know, the tree of life from Avatar.
Yes,
where, you know,
exactly.
if you are a wounded sportsman, you can make your way to, you know, that capital's greatest sporting monument and sleep under its bosom. And you
And he
will
probably
wake
didn't
up
even
in
know
the
that was
morning
happening.
feeling refreshed. And
Well, it speaks to you on a subconscious level.
I
You're
think
drawn to it.
he was on autopilot and he was drawn to it like a
Yes,
magnet.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's something greater, higher power.
Oh, like that kind of Halo shit.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
just-
he was just earthing himself.
But you got to understand as well.
and the cops interrupted that.
Well, you know,
But
how
they
say
poked the bear.
Yeah.
never wake up someone when they're like sleepwalking because
Yes.
they'll lose the plot.
Yes.
Never wake up a rugby league player
Sleeping under a
sleeping
tree.
under a tree.
Sleeping off a rugby league skinful
Skinful.
under a tree in the shade of the SCG.
Yeah. So you can sort of imagine he's woken up startled. Who the hell are these guys? Flashlight in the face. The rugby league player's first reaction is always to throw.
Yeah.
So he's obviously just gone, fuck this, danger. Hit what some say was maybe a female police officer. We don't know that.
Oh, that's even
It's
worse.
alleged.
That's where the taser comes out much quicker.
Well, look, I mean, I think if you're throwing tasers are on the cards, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, look, Curtis has been tasered. Taken off to the big house. Slept it off again. He's had 2 sleeps at least. It's positive.
16 hours.
But has avoided no fault stand down rule from Toddley Greenberg.
Well, and he's free to play. So Toddley has sat down.
Toddley Greenberg's the
C-
NRL CEO.
CEO.
He's sat down and reviewed the footage. Now there was I think there was a couple of pieces of footage. One, there was a
body
camera,
cam.
There was
Yeah.
a body cam, and there was a camera in the vicinity somewhere,
Yeah.
like a
That's how
CCTV.
powerful the NRL is. They're allowed to see the body cam footage.
Oh yeah. Oh, Toddley's mate. He-
Toddley Greenberg
It's
is
a
real mover in
multi-billion-dollar
Shogun.
industry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He
So
can
he's
see
just
body cam.
He's
footage.
just walked into what? Moore Park Command and said,
I
get
think
it
they
up.
bring it to him.
Yeah, let's be honest. The rugby league as a sort of as an entity, probably got a pretty good relationship with the police in every
Oh, you'd have
state.
to.
You would
You'd have to.
assume.
I mean, Rocket Rod Silver, Mal Meningo, Wayne Bennett, all famous cops.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. There's a
I think
a
Rabs
unity
was
there.
even a policeman back in the day.
He was.
So
Anyway, so he's reviewed the footage.
free to play.
By all accounts, liked what he saw, and play on.
He's confident.
He's
the
real
vo-
play on.
So in Toddley's legal understanding,
Yes.
what he saw won't result in more than 11 years in prison.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
it.
that's
They're not
right.
saying that what he did wasn't inappropriate.
Yeah.
So maybe with the help of some of Canberra's high-powered lawyers, they're confident that he might defeat these charges.
Well, look, I mean, we can only hope for Curtis's sake. And
Do we
for
know
the
who's
Raiders.
defending him? Would Ricky defend someone like that?
You know what?
Very passionate in court, wouldn't he be?
Ricky loves his boys. Ricky will
Yeah.
do anything for his boys.
Yeah.
Ricky wears the stress of his boys' pain on his face.
Yes.
I don't know. It's tough to but Ricky was upset. Ricky did say as much. He was when asked for his. Like some journo was like, Ricky, can we get a comment from you, please, on Curtis Scott's thing? He just goes, I'm pissed off.
And you can quote me on that.
You can quote me on that. Thank you, Ricky.
Spewing. All right, any more?
Look, there are a couple more. Let's just quickly try and fire a few of these off. I did think that it was worth mentioning Isaiah Parisi. Mm-hmm. Now, he played for the Queensland Reds, was just signed for the Broncos, and then has been immediately stood down before playing a game for drug-related offences. Not 100% sure what they are, but I just thought it was worth acknowledging Isaiah's quick adoption of rugby league culture.
Yeah.
Straight into it.
Couple pingers, couple Gold Coast pingers in,
It's just
in
a-
the knapsack.
Yes, well, again, alleged. We don't know what it is, but just nice to see a player go, I'm a leaguey now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've got to embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time.
I never have to wear a tie again.
I don't have to go to Ballymore. I don't need to wear the RMs. It's
Unless, of course, you go to court.
Nike TNs and bum bags.
Or if you're Wade Graham going to court and you wear thongs.
And get...
Or maybe that was a cider meeting. I don't know. But Joe Offahengawi, he was arrested for being drunk, for drink driving, but he was drunk in his car while it was parked. So I'm just not sure whether
That's some real.
I don't know what the law is.
Who else has
around
done that? Someone did it in their own driveway.
And then he...
No, that's Papali hours.
Yeah, and-
Well, no, Papali
Then
called
he,
the police on himself.
Yeah.
Papali self-reported.
Respect that.
Yeah,
Gotta respect.
you gotta
Well, he
respect
turned
that.
a new leaf that moment. He got home from drink driving. He goes, "Fuck, that was risky. You
That
know
was
what?
real dodgy."
You know what? It ends now. This
Yeah.
kind of recklessness. 000, come get me. I'm in my driveway. I just drove.
And I'm shit-faced. No, I won't get out. Breath test me. I'll keep the car on. That was
Good
weird.
stuff.
But,
That's some good stuff.
well-
but that's happened again.
Yeah, I mean, good luck to Joe.
His uncle, Willie, he played for the Wallabies, and he got to hoist bill.
Really?
Yeah, he did, and he's also got one of the rare distinctions as a rugby union player of having more victories against the All Blacks than losses.
This is Offengawi's uncle.
Offengawi's uncle Willie.
Willie Offengawi?
Yeah.
I don't remember Willie. A little bit before my time, I guess. What was it, 91?
More wins than losses.
That was right in
That's
my
very
heyday.
impressive.
That is like peak Bob Dwyer, which is right of my vintage.
Back when rugby union was...
As a 48-year-old, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah, that's right in your
Yep.
wheelhouse. Look, Trent Robinson, $150,000 Mercedes stolen, but then found. So it's kind of like,
Kind of disappointing.
His car got stolen and they found it.
They found it like a couple of suburbs away.
Right.
Any damage?
I don't think so.
If you are a car thief and you don't end that fucking theft with you burning that car,
Yeah.
you are doing a disservice to the owner.
Well, you're not even really a thief, are you?
Well, that's what every car owner wakes up with, the dream that their car has been stolen and burnt out. Because guess what that means?
Insurance,
If
right?
if it's comprehensively insured, like if it's a nice car, like say
Wouldn't back a leak
you
coach for
are
comprehensive.
a
I'm sorry.
sports star who's like, I've bought a nice Porsche. It's 4 years old. Wouldn't mind if it gets stolen and torched right now.
Yeah.
Because guess what happens? You get a new Porsche.
Well, that's nice.
So to all the car thieves out there that listen to our podcasts, when you steal a nice car, have a look in the glove box. Make sure it's comprehensively insured, and if it is, torch it.
Do it for poor old Trent.
Yeah,
Because he got
exactly.
done dirty.
$150,000 car. And then finally, not so much a scandal, but one that really took mine and Eddie's attention was the CEO of the NRL, Toddley Greenberg, and just, quite a sharply dressed mover and shaker in the sports administrative world, but has grown what can only be described as a sexy Jason Statham off-season beard.
Yeah. Because he's got the bald head.
He's very bald.
Yeah.
He's super bald.
He's super bald.
He's as bald
bald
as
as
you
he
get.
gets.
But the Jason Statham beard just brings it all together.
It puts lead in your pencil.
And for those that don't know, he's currently mid contract extension negotiations.
Okay.
And our theory is that he's bringing, a bit
dick
of
energy.
flair,
Bringing
a bit of-
sexy back.
He's
Yeah.
bringing
Big beard
sexy
energy.
back to the negotiating table.
he walks in there and it's just
looking
like,
to add another O.
throws down the sort of his briefcase or whatever Toddley carries, and it's just like, let's negotiate,
Yeah,
boys.
yeah.
Look at me. I bet you didn't
Yeah.
expect this guy to walk in here.
Yeah. Okay, well, now you're on the back foot, and
Yeah.
I'm on the front
I'm on the
foot,
front foot.
and I'm calling the shots now.
It's negotiation 101.
He's widely liked, isn't he? I mean, for his handling of that off-season we spoke about last time you were on, I feel like there's a bit of love for Toddley.
Yeah, he's certainly not like he's certainly not like some administrators where people are like, he's an idiot. Peter Beattie was pretty resoundly disliked. I didn't mind Beattie, but like Greenberg's pretty good at what he does.
I think Peter V'landys, the new
Yeah.
commissioner, is
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to out for him a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I would.
That's what I'm
Peter
talking
about.
V'landys. Now, if we're talking about balding, his hair will blow away in a stiff breeze. It's one of those ones where it sort of just like disappears before your very eyes. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't
Like
start
ScoMo.
thinning from any one point.
ScoMo's got
it's
that.
just all disappearing.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, but anyway, shout out to Peter and his hair.
Fun fact, Toddley Greenberg has represented Australia
Is that right?
What in?
in the Jewish games.
I thought you were going to say
In
ultimate
the
frisbee.
Jewish game.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Maccabi games.
Maccabi games.
Yeah.
I don't know what sport, but I know that he was.
What would it
We've
be?
got lines to the NRL CEO. We can work this thing out.
We actually do. He listened to our appraisal of his beard.
yeah.
and
He's
he
aware
liked
of the
it.
podcast.
Yeah,
Make no
yeah.
mistake.
Can you just quickly Google that?
He was also a big dick too at state cricket level, which just absolutely
yeah, I've heard that. Todd can swing the willow.
throbs. I
Yeah.
mean, to be
He's got a lot of that
patron
about
of the
him.
arts that are state cricket,
Yes.
you do need to be somewhat.
Do we have Toddley's cricket stats?
He played cricket for Australia in the Jewish Games.
Get out of here! So he's
Yeah.
he's an Australian Jewish Test cricketer.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well,
Well,
probably wasn't
probably not.
Test cricket.
No, but I mean,
2020.
Well, like Jewish Test cricket,
Jewish Test cricket against
40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah. Who knows?
A real test. Now that's a test.
Who knows? The standard, I reckon it would have been. Oh no, he would have had a pretty strong.
No, I think Toddley
English-sided.
could bat, dude.
Yeah.
I think Toddley was pretty good at cricket.
He looks like a keeper to me.
Yeah, I could see that bit of
Old
chirp.
hands.
Looks like he's very lippy. He'd be
Yeah,
very.
I think Toddley's got chirp in him.
Oh yeah.
I think he's a lot cooler than he has to appear because he's a CEO.
No, he's pretty cool and calm and collected in front
Yeah,
of the
but I mean,
cameras.
you know, he's got to be all
I
very
bet-
proper. I bet
yeah.
you he sees like Todd Carney pissing in his own mouth. And he's like, you know, obviously we have to.
I think a lot
say
of that
that's bad,
comes-
but then off camera he's like,
I think a lot of that comes from his time at the Bulldogs, where you just have to be, you know, as a team, you know, obviously in the years after the Olympics was absolutely riddled,
tough for the Dogs.
top to bottom. With
Well,
controversies.
as Rennie and Willie said on this podcast, Rennie Matura and Willie Mason, it was a siege mentality at the Bulldogs post-Olympics. That's how they won. They worked hard and played hard, and they were called the Dogs of War.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of good... Sonny Bill came out of that. Thurston came out of that.
And he was the CEO there at the time. Imagine getting that call. Toddley? Sonny's just left the country.
No,
And he ain't coming back.
And this is how the NRL played the Sonny Bill leaving the country. This was, I don't know who was CEO at the time. They go,
That was
"There's no
David Gallup. I
David
believe.
Gallup. There's no way he can do that. He can't play for France. He doesn't have a visa." And then the next weekend he was playing for Toulon the next Saturday. And they go, "How did that happen?" "Oh, shit, it's this trade agreement we didn't know about because his mother's Samoan. There's a trade agreement between Samoa and France, and he just had a fucking Samoan passport that you didn't know about.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what's happened
You
here.
don't
Sorry.
think Sonny had this thing sewn up before he bounced on the fucking Dogs? And then
Because you were
Chuck
trying to
Mundine-
make him sign a 4-year contract.
Mundine bought him out of the contract.
Coda Nasser.
Oh, yeah.
Coda's he's a slick individual.
Coda
He had
knows.
that sewn
Yeah.
up.
No, he'd already he'd signed a 5-year contract, and then 1 year in, he was like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
rugby seems like a better option."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out.
So that's not a scandal. Toddley's beard
No.
is actually quite attractive.
Well, that's just something to be celebrated. I think, you know, you finish positive,
Yeah,
You do.
yeah.
You finish with
finish on a high.
And
Todd
it's-
Greenberg's beard.
and kickoff is in how many days now?
Well, it's what
One
day?
week, 1 week,
One
mate.
week.
Yeah.
1 week.
And this podcast will be out in a couple of days, so
Less than a week.
So
Less
whenever you're
Thursday
listening
night.
to this, it'll be a couple of days.
next weekend or
Next
the one
week,
after.
you'll be stiff for it, punters, dribblers. If you're not already stiff for season 2020, then there's something wrong with you.
Oh, it's simply the best.
Nah, it's divisive, man.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Hello Sport Podcast. If you want any more of this, they do this once a week. Sometimes
Sometimes
twice
twice.
a week. They do this same dribble. Just
Not only about NRL scandals,
No.
but, you know,
Also
scandals
all
from
sport,
other
all
sports.
sport,
cricket, UFC.
rugby
and-
league, swimming,
union.
justice for Matt Horton.
Wherever
all
there's a-
sports
wherever
that you
there's
can
a
catch
yarn.
on KO.
Wherever there's a
Yes.
yarn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All sports that you can catch on KO, and of course you can get KO anywhere, anytime in Australia, and you can watch it on your phone.
Yep.
You can watch it on your TV if you've got Chromecast or a smart television. If you've got Chromecast on an old television like I do, can't watch live sport, might want to fix that one, KO. And if you're new to KO, you can sign up today and get a free trial. But I would wait until the start of the season to maximise your value.
Yeah.
out of it.
Coca-Cola Amateur once said their only competitor was water. Well, KO's only competitor is sleep. You'll get all the sport you need and more. That's if you can fit it in. The end. Thank you. Thank you, Hello Sport Podcast. Tom and Eddie. I'm Clancy Overall.
I'm Earl Parker, and that's how you keep the lights on.
Be soon.
Thank you, boys.